Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome everybody to the City of Aiken Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Our first order of business tonight is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting minutes of March 11th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion.
Before that, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain from voting on the minutes because I was absent.
Understood?
And so will I, because I was also absent.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Discussion. Commissioner Messina, I think you had.
Minutes as follows in the regular meeting minutes on page 4, second paragraph. I'd like to change Commissioner Messina, instead of suggested incorporating, say questioned incorporating the wetland area. And the other item was on page 5, on the 12th condition, that a right-hand turn lane, not a left turn lane, be added. That's it.
Okay. So without amendment, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Messina. Second. And just any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. And the minutes are approved. We don't have any old business tonight, but before we get started with the new business, I would like to read to you guys the guidelines for public comments for the City of Aiken Planning Commission meetings. Meetings are public forums in which many opinions are expressed and the business of the city must be conducted. As such, discipline, honorable, and professional decorum is paramount. Courteous and respectful communication is required. During public comment periods of the meeting, all questions and statements from the public shall be directed to the chairman. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand, and the chairman will recognize you. Please approach the podium and state your name and address. In order to allow an opportunity for everyone who wishes to address the commission, speakers should limit their comments to the agenda item or application being discussed. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to address an issue and may only address an issue once unless questions from the commission are posed to the speaker. Everybody who wishes to speak tonight will get a fair opportunity to speak, but I would ask you to be mindful of the 5-minute time. There'll be a timer over here and behind us. If you get to 4 minutes, I'll raise my hand just to let you know you have a minute to wrap up your comments. So please be respectful of everybody's time tonight. Our first application for new business, item A. This is an application number 25-20019. This is an annexation request for tax parcel number 104-16-43-001. The applicant is AEI Jordan, LLC, located on Pinecrest Avenue Northwest and Terry Drive. The current zoning is the county residential multifamily development, and they're asking to be annexed into the city under residential multifamily high density. Is the applicant here tonight to speak on this application? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just to make this quick, Sean Alfred, with my wife and I, are very interested in developing on that property. I don't believe it's been developed on in the past. It's a donut hole. Everything around it is already annexed into the city, right across the street from Pinecrest School. We certainly would appreciate the opportunity to do that so that we can access sewer and water. And in the end, we'll have a very beautiful 2-story duplex there on that spot to help the community.
Thank you, Dr. Alfred. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody here to speak against this application? Anybody to speak in favor? Any comments? Yes, ma'am. Would you please approach the podium if you have a comment about this application? Please state your name and address for the record, too, please, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ashley Newton. I'm a resident of 1131 Terry Drive. Been staying there about 35 years. I am aware that there are maybe possibility of building a 2-story building at the location, but the area is not a good area to actually live in. I'm not saying not a good area to actually live in, but I'm saying that the crime rate is very high. So with you possibility of, building there, will there be extra security, as in for the residents who live there now. Question.
If you'll address your questions, I'll allow the applicant to come back up and address those. So
Okay.
any questions you have, if you'll address those, is that the only question that you had? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Alfred, if you want to address that concern.
Sure. Yeah, our desire is always to make the community a better place to be and have affordable housing for individuals. When we do build in the Tool Hill area, we certainly put a tremendous amount of lighting in that area. So we'll do the very best we can to make that area as secure as possible without guaranteeing any sort of, physical security in that regard. But we will certainly be great neighbors.
Thank you.
I'd actually like to make a quick comment. I had somebody that had requested, was actually asking the same question earlier today. And my response to them is that right now it is in the county. It's the sheriff has to show up. It's not public safety. In other words, we have no teeth. We have no oversight because it's in the county. Once it annexes in, we will have oversight, not only how it looks, but also public safety will be the respondent.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And is it that in terms of the restrictions on building, in terms of a duplex, you still could put a duplex in there?
Absolutely.
Zoning.
Absolutely. And under the county zoning, it allows multifamily. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to application number 25-20019, annexation request, tax parcel number 104-16-43-001. And there are no possible condition, and it is consistent with the comprehensive plan. I move that we send this to City Council for approval.
Okay, I have motion, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. All right. All those in favor, raise your hand. Passes unanimously. One comment based on Director Mario's comment. I think the development is what helps a neighborhood and a community reduce crime. So I think it's good that these investors are coming in and trying to improve the area. So the motion passes, and we will move on to application B. This is application number 25-20020. This is an annexation request for tax parcel number 106-18-17-003. Applicants are the Kaufmans, current county zoning, residential single-family conservation, and they're asking to come to the city under a residential single-family RS-15. Is the applicant here tonight to speak on this? Okay. Any of those against this application? Those in favor? Comments? Okay, Commissioner, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to application number 25-20020, annexation request, tax parcel 106-18-17-003, current zoning RSC, proposed zoning RS-15. I make a motion that we move to City Council for approval.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And the application passes unanimously. All right, item C. This is application number 25-20021, another annexation request for tax parcel number 105-18-13-03-010. This is the applicants are the Thomases. They're on Vivian Drive. They're currently in the county under single-family conservation, asking to come in under RS-15 residential single-family. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this tonight? Any of those against this application? Any of those in favor? Comments? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to application number 25-20021, annexation request for tax parcel 105-18-13-010, current zoning RC, proposed zoning RS-15. I make a motion that we move to City Council for approval.
Second.
All right, second, motion by Commissioner Clarkson, second by Commissioner Erb. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And the application passes unanimously. Okay, item D, application number 25-20022, annexation request on tax parcel number 121-17-22-002. This is the Westover Cottage LLC, currently in the county under urban development, asking to come in under RS 15 residential single family. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this tonight? All those against this, anybody here against this application? Anybody in favor? Any comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, application number 25-20022, annexation request for tax parcel 121-17-22-002. Current zoning is urban development and proposed city zoning, RS 15. I say we pass to city council for approval.
Okay, Commissioner Erb, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Matthews. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And the application passes unanimously. Got a lot of new city taxpayers tonight. Okay, application E. This is application number 25-20023, an annexation request for the Moores, located on Linwood Drive. They are currently under the county under residential single-family conservation, looking to come into the city under RS 15 single-family. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this tonight? Okay, anybody here in favor or against this application? Okay, comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, I recommend application 25-20023, annexation request, tax parcel 10606110002, to be moved forward to the city for approval.
Okay, thank you,
Second.
Commissioner Simmons. Second by Commissioner Erb. Discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. And the application passes unanimously. Item F, application number 25-20024. It's an annexation request for tax parcel number 106-07-02-006, the Whitesell family. Currently in the county under single-family conservation and looking to come into the city under RS 15 residential single-family. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this tonight? Any of those against or for this application? Comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to application number 25-20024, annexation request, tax parcel number 106-07-02-006, current county zoning RC, proposed city zoning RS 15. I move that we send this to city council for approval.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Matthews. Do I have a second? Second, Commissioner Messina. Discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. And the application passes unanimously. Okay. Item G, application number 25-20025, annexation request for tax parcel number 106-06-11-003. This is the Moore family, current county residential single family conservation, coming into the city under RS 15 residential single family. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this tonight? Any of those in the audience against or for this application? Comments? I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, application number 25-20025, annexation request for tax parcel 106-06-11003. Current zoning is RC, proposed city zoning RS 15. Recommend going to city council for approval.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Erb. Do I have a second? Second, Commissioner Matthews. Thank you. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. And the application passes unanimously. Okay, item H, application number 25-20026. This is an annexation request for the applicant is Calvary Chapel, Aiken. They're currently zoned under urban development in the county, looking to come in under general business of the city. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this tonight? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. I'm the pastor at Calvary Chapel Aiken, and we are requesting annexation, and if approved, we're requesting that that annexation be delayed until the week of July 13th. We have an activity going on the property that would be prohibited if we were inside the city limits, so we're asking just for that grace for us to come into the city.
What was that date again?
The week, any time of the week, July 13th or thereafter, and I should have said, I know the rules, or my name's James Biggle, and 4031 Wood Valley Drive
Thank you.
here in Aiken.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Anybody here to speak in favor of this application? Anybody against this application? Comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and do it. For application 25-20026, annexation request for tax parcel 137-1801002. Current zoning is urban development. Proposed city zoning is general business. I say we pass it to city council for approval with the condition of doing it after 7/13/25.
Okay, thank you,
Clear
Commissioner Erb. I believe so. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Simmons, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. And the application passes unanimously. Thank you. Item I and J. Well, this is an application. These are two applications. The first is the application number 25-60007, a rezone request. And the second application is number 25-21001, a concept plan approval. These are for tax parcel number 087-18-08-08-012 and a portion of 08-18-08-08-001. The applicant is the Aiken County Homeless Housing, and this is located on Dykes Road, which is off of Richland by the Walmart down there. The current zoning is office, which is in the city, but they're asking to come under the new zoning of transitional tiny home. We will be making two motions tonight on each of these applications, one for the rezone and one for the concept plan approval. Is the applicant here tonight to speak on behalf of this application? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm George Clare, 782 Burden Lake Road. I'm the president of Aiken County Homeless Housing, the applicant for the rezoning and concept plan approval. It's been a 4-year journey getting to this point, and we thank you for your support in making the changes to the zoning ordinance so that we could get this far. The exact population of unhoused Aiken citizens will never be known with a high degree of certainty, because, among other things, the homeless don't want to be counted. If you were homeless, would you want people to count you? What we do know is that the population of unhoused in the Aiken area is in the several to many hundreds, and it's increasing significantly. In the past few years, the number is believed to have increased roughly 20% per year. Given recent and ongoing increases in cost of living, particularly the rental cost of housing in Aiken, we can expect homelessness to continue to increase. So what is the community to do? The proven answer over decades throughout the U.S. is what's called housing first. This approach recognizes that while the unhoused are on the street, they're focused 100% on survival today, stressing to find food and secure shelter for themselves and for all their earthly belongings. It's that constant stress that drives many of the unhoused to significant mental illness, and yes, for some, substance abuse. While they're on the street, they simply are not in a position to solve their issues, be they physical, mental, or academic. They certainly don't have the resources to make themselves presentable to an employer. Our proposal is not to create what many people would call a homeless camp. It will not be an emergency shelter, providing the homeless at large with a free temporary bed in a congregate facility for a few days or weeks. That's the vital role provided by Aiken Salvation Army. Transitional housing, the type of housing proposed at Arbor Ridge on Dykes Road, provides a relatively permanent, it's up to 2 years, although many people are expected to graduate in just a few months, A place to sleep soundly, take a shower, wash clothes, and keep their possessions safe from theft or loss. The citizens selected to live at Arbor Ridge will be those who are looking for a way to address their issues, improve their circumstances, get a job paying a living wage, and become a self-sufficient member of society. Soon after each resident arrives, a case manager will work with them to develop a personal transition plan that guides their efforts to improve, availing themselves of the services offered by several organizations throughout Aiken. Failure to follow the transition plan with a compassionate allowance for warning will result in the person being released back out on the street to make room for someone else who is sufficiently motivated to follow their transition plan. Arbor Ridge will provide private sleeping quarters with a fully functional bathroom and the ability to safely store food and prepare simple meals. Residents will pay rent based on their ability to pay, something that emphasizes their commitment to improving their lives. That's something that gives individuals a huge boost in self-confidence and self-respect. Likewise, residents will be assigned tasks, you might call them chores, such as picking up litter along Dykes Road. That's part of their learning, relearning, discipline, and rebuilding self-esteem. Some area residents have expressed concerns about current conditions in the area involving the homeless individuals in the nearby woods, fighting fires, and leaving litter. We all should recognize that when a homeless person moves into Arbor Ridge, they will no longer need to be in the woods. They will be at home. They will be in heated homes with trash cans. There should be no litter. There should be no fires in the woods. The layout of Arbor Ridge complies, or at least it was our intent to comply, with all requirements of Aiken zoning ordinance. Nominally required features such as buffers, fences, fire lanes, streetlights, and parking will be provided. The Arbor Ridge sign will be a monument type located in a planting area alongside Dykes Road. The property is moderately wooded, and as many trees as practical will be preserved in buffers as well as the open spaces. Open spaces in central areas and overall meet the ordinance requirements for size. The Arbor Ridge community is designed to provide the same types of amenities as the many residential communities in the city. A community building with laundry, meeting facilities, internet access. There will be bike racks, picnic areas, and walking trails. As a final note, our narrative, which was submitted as the application, included some old parameters that were in conflict with the current numbers. We've recently submitted a corrected version, and in all places, 39 homes is cited along with 36 parking spaces. While we have attempted to comply, we are not experts in the ordinance. We appreciate your efforts to review our application and guide us where we may have fallen short. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Sir, you just hold up here just a second in case there's some questions. Do you have any questions for the applicant? No questions from the commission? Okay, sir, are you aware the possible conditions on this application 1 through 5?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought we had talked about the 36 versus 39. You were saying on the parking places, I know the little lot will eventually hold extra parking, but each home in phase 1, 2, or 3 will have a driveway or not?
No, the homes do not have driveways.
They don't.
Consistent with tiny home
I see.
communities throughout the country,
I see
they're
what
just
you're
walking
saying.
paths.
Okay, I understand now. Okay. So,
Okay.
gotcha, I'm
That it?
sorry.
Okay.
Yep, a little confusion.
Any other
there.
questions for the applicant?
I'm good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody here to speak in favor of this application? In favor? Is anybody here, you want to speak in favor? You want this application to go through?
Yes, sir. My name is Forrest Wicks. I reside at 60 Flat Trail Court. I am also the state coordinator for the Department of Social Services with the Transitional Services and Support Division. This is a brand new division because we have had very poor outcomes statewide with those kids who have been in foster care and age out. Too many of them end up on the streets, and too many of them dead, to be honest with you. We are outreaching to different parts of the state to try to form partnerships with ones such as these so that we can better provide positive outcomes and supports so that these kids can flourish as they turn into young adults and develop into the community members that we want to see. Unfortunately, up till recently, that has not happened because we have been under an old state funded system. We are trying to switch. We are in the process of switching over to a federal system. And when we are able to collaborate with partners like this, not only do they have their support services, but we also are able to provide additional support services to assist our populations in essentially achieving their dreams, because unfortunately they have come from broken homes, and unfortunately that creates recidivism, a cycle where they fall into the same thing, because the minute they turn 18, all they've known is they've been in foster care. Everything's been done for them. And then what happens? Oh, some of them don't even get the foster homes because they end up not having enough, and they end up sleeping in offices. And we definitely need to have things in place such as this to help those populations.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else here to speak in favor? Okay. Anybody here to speak against this application? Okay, yes, ma'am, in the far back, right there. We'll start in the back. Yes, ma'am. Before you start, everybody's going to get an opportunity to speak here tonight. Okay, so I just want to make that clear with everybody. Everybody will get the opportunity to speak. We'll do our best to go through as quickly as we can. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Keisha Patterson. I reside at 3714 Dykes Road. I've lived there for 6 years with my son. One thing I do acknowledge that was not addressed by either of the applicants or the one in favor, it says right here on page 1, this will be primarily provided for meeting. This will be, it's kind of worded a little bit different. It says the TTH district is intended to provide for uses that primarily provide meeting areas for religious activities, treatment of terminally ill, and those with psychiatric, alcohol, or drug problems. That to me is a major concern to our neighborhood. We all have children. There are several people here that have children. I understand wanting to house the homeless, help the homeless. I'm not against it. I feed the homeless and help them when I can. But to put them in the midst of an already established neighborhood with small children who at this point feel comfortable riding their bike around the corner to their friend's house that's within walking distance, or walking up and down the road, will now be a safety concern for us, because on page 1 it definitely states with psychiatric, alcohol, or drug problems. That is a major concern for not only the children, those living there, because it was not once stated, okay, they get a caseworker. Are these caseworkers going to be on site on this 24/7 to ensure that these psychiatric and ill patients, people, are going to be basically monitored to make sure that nothing happens? Because as it was stated, they did set the woods on fire behind my home. I currently have sleeping bags in the woods on my property in less than 20 feet from my fence where my child, my nephews, my nieces, everybody, we play in the backyard. So to want to help somebody, that's perfectly fine. You know, I'm not against that, but they need to create their own community. There is plenty of properties throughout Aiken County that they could put this funding towards, that there's nothing there. There's no properties, there's nothing but trees. For instance, Silver Bluff and Herndonderry, where they just used a dump site for FEMA. Nothing but an open field. They could utilize that. They could utilize University Parkway, where they just ended the road for Croft Mill, nothing but woods. Where Vaucluse meets there, nothing but woods. You could do that and create their own community and not put them directly in the middle of an already established community. I do see that there's also a playground, and that's awesome, but that's not going to be awesome for our kids who want to go play there now with this said mentally ill potentially, you know, people. But once again, I'm not against wanting to help somebody that, you know, has been in a position that may or may not have been their own fault. But to put it where our kids have to rest and are not going to no longer be comfortable for us to let our kids go outside, I don't think that that's a good location for this at all. I think I pretty much covered everything. But they have set the woods on fire. They'll dig in the Salvation Army dumpsters. I can hear that from outside my bedroom window. I'm the very first house next to Moore's Carpet. So they're constantly digging into there. They've broken into Moore's Carpet multiple times. I've had to call Aiken County Sheriff's Office on them because I caught them on camera jumping my fence. Not sure why, not sure what they were looking for. But if somebody's willing to go beyond to do all of this, then they need to pick a better location when it comes to what they're doing, you know, what they're doing, and think about the already surviving community that's there. And that's it.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anybody else to speak against this application? In the very back. Or, well, come on, sir. You're up. Come on up. Sir in the blue, you can follow him up. If you'll, sir, before you start, if you'll announce your name and your address.
Robert Smith. I own 2 pieces of property next to this.
Okay, thank you.
They're rental property. And Mr. Clare is going to put this in my backyard. Not only in my backyard, he's going to put it on my property. You see that 40-foot, he has an easement, but I still own that 40-foot there. Can he legally use it with all this congestion?
I think if he has an easement, he can.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're not attorneys up here.
Okay.
So I can't answer that question.
Maybe you shouldn't vote for this until all this is settled.
Understood.
And also, he doesn't have an easement for that 3 acres. He only has an easement for the 1 acre down here. So he cannot use my property to access that 3 acres. Now, there ain't nothing, you don't need a lawyer to figure that out.
Understood.
And like the lady said, Mr. Clare has some high ideals, but to rehab people, and I just don't see it. It's just, and they're gonna be walking, she's in my rental house, and she lives right there, and they're gonna be walking right by her house every day. And his plan, there's probably gonna be 60 people in that little thing when it's over and done with. 60 people. And that don't count the ones that he attracts wanting to get in there. If you got 60, they might be 100 waiting in line to get in this place. Aiken's gonna be flooded with the homeless. Think about it. And that's all I got to say.
Understood. Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir, in the blue, please. Thank you for your patience.
Good morning, evening. My name is Joel Johnson. My address where my office is 3814 Dykes Road, which is right there where that small picnic area, large picnic area, that sidewalk, the perimeter security fence. I have been a financial advisor for 30 years here in Aiken. For the last 18, I've had an office that I put right over there. I've upped it to a green office, so it's all, energy efficient. And I've been there watching the people come by for all these years. I've watched people walk up and down the streets. I've watched the homeless. I've had my office not burglarized. I've had theft from my office. I've had people dig up plants in my front yard of my office, 8 plants they dug up. I've had them carry off pots of plants. But that's going to happen. I don't mind them having a homeless place to stay. She came up with good ideas someplace. There's a lot of places in Aiken, but that's not the place for it. You have these people, according to Mr. Clare, 3/4 of them are drug addicts, 3/4 of them have mental problems. The idea they can go to the Aiken Center and to the Aiken Barnwell Mental Health is a nice idea, but I don't think anybody here, and even you people, know that the Aiken Center and Aiken Barnwell Mental Health do not open during the nighttime. Those people all have the problems during the nighttime. For nearly 20 years before I became a financial advisor, I was in the criminal justice system. The last 9 years of it, I was a probation parole supervisor here in Aiken County and surrounding 6 counties. I have dealt with these people for years. When I look at the map that you guys have here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this little area right over here at the very corner is the farthest place you can go into Aiken County, or Aiken City, and put this little development. There's plenty of places to put it in Aiken County somewhere. It's almost, when you talk about the perimeter fencing around the place, it's actually like a prison. Now, I don't mind those people living there. They should have a place to live, but not there. I don't mind having them sleep for 8 hours. I don't mind them having a job for 8 hours. I do have a problem with the 8 hours that's left in the day, and that's where I got involved with all the people who couldn't learn to say no, who went to jail, who had their probation and parole violated, for I sent them back to prison many times over the last 20 years. It's amazing to think that these people can actually get services over there where they can't. It's impossible. There's no sidewalks anywhere on Dykes Road. There's no sidewalks on Richland Avenue or Highway 1. There's no crosswalks anywhere on those roads. It's 1.5 miles to the hospital. Do you think that's a close place to go for help? There's no sidewalks. There's 1 mile almost to get over to the Walmart. And anybody here in the city of Aiken probably doesn't even live close to 1 mile from this place. So when I look at all these things, that you look at the problem we could possibly have, and then to end up putting at is that little spot of green that you saw, you don't see it there, but that little thing there is in the city limits. And you guys are trying to force the people here who live out there on that street to live with these people here because they think it's a great idea to give them a place to stay when there's so many other places to stay. And then the only time they can get law enforcement help is the city. And the city doesn't even come by there because they're worried about Walmart and other places. There's nobody patrolling that place. The sheriff comes by when I call him because I've got the thefts out there. Other than that, it's not a place for these people to live, to raise their families out there, in there, or inside that community. Any questions or answers?
Thank you. We appreciate it. I do want to say I will allow the applicant to come back up after everybody has spoken to perhaps try to answer some of these questions that have come up. Anybody else to speak against this application? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Everybody will get an equal opportunity.
Chairman Terry Dennis, live on Banks Mill Road. My middle name's Loki. This is step family that lives on Loki Drive, which is on your other map.
Ma'am, could you raise that microphone up just a little? Sure. Thank you so much.
He did bring up the part about there's no sidewalks, no crosswalks, pedestrian signs. There's been 3 of them killed on that highway trying to cross it. There's crosses out there. The homeless trying to get across the road. Other questions that need to be answered. Who will be the overseer once the Homeless Coalition has turned this over? This has not been made public. The background check for sex offenders. There's children that live up and down this road that ride buses. There's an 11-year-old right here that's going to be getting on and off a bus by herself right there where this homeless camp will be. Are animals permitted? What's the protocol for inoculation, spaying, leashing, the aggressiveness of the animals that'll be in there? All that'll come to light once these people start occupying this land. The animals will show up, and then the kids living in the neighborhood. What is the protocol for having the animals? Will the occupants be drug tested and alcohol tested? If they refuse a test or if they fail a test, what happens? System in place for rule violations and disputes between each other and neighbors. Who will enforce litter control? Trash is already an issue. It's been an issue for a long time around Loki Drive and around Dykes Road. It's an ongoing problem with the Salvation Army thrift store not locking their lid on the skid pan. There's a lot of mattresses get drug out of it. There's a lot of clothes, miscellaneous trash, books, whatever. there's a problem, and that one really needs to be addressed. Will homeless persons not from Aiken County be allowed in here? And is ID required, some kind of legal identification? So that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Sir, did you have?
Yes, sir. My name's Robert Corda, and we live on 150 Loki Drive, which is basically right in our backyard. This place will be. And I'm 67 years old. I live with my 85-year-old mother, my wife, and my 11-year-old daughter. And we have a lot of concerns. There's a lot of questions have already been addressed by the previous speakers, but I'm just voicing my opposition to this, having to live there and the conditions that we are experiencing right now that aren't getting addressed. What will happen when this place comes in? Because I am very worried about these people. Are they going to be vetted as far as criminal history, sexual offense history, and all that with us living there? And we're very isolated on that little hill right there and very vulnerable. And I just wanted to voice my opposition
Thank
to
you,
it.
sir, for speaking. Yes, sir, in the blue, you had your hand up.
Good evening. I'm Robert Smith. I live at 114 Highland Forest Drive, Aiken, South Carolina. I've been a Aiken County resident all my life. I'm very opposed to this. I've got a lot of concerns. You know, we don't want to make the city of Aiken more attractive to homeless. We don't want to bring more in. If they hear word in Augusta, in Wagner, in the Valley, wherever, that there's a homeless community over here waiting in line for the next applicant to come along, well, they're just going to come hang out on the outskirts and just wait until the next opening and claim that they're, quote, local. The gentleman says that he's only going to allow local homeless into this encampment, but how do you determine if they're local, if they're homeless? They don't have a home, so they don't have an address. So anybody off the street could just walk up, oh yeah, I've lived in these woods for 3 years, you know? So you're going to be attracting folks in versus trying to clean the city up, so to speak. In that article I read from the Aiken Standard, 1/3 are on drugs, 2/3 have mental illnesses. That's not the kind of folks that we want to bring to the city of Aiken. You know, they've got a playground in here. That's pretty concerning that the children in the neighborhood are going to get drawn into this place where 2/3 of the folks living in it have mental illnesses. I mean, what kind of can of worms are we opening up with that? You know, I just don't understand. You know, they'd be working for a certain amount of time, sleeping in their home a certain amount of time, but then they're going to be out roaming the streets the other 8 hours of the day, 10 hours of the day. I mean, is that what we want? You know, I just want to speak my opposition to this.
Sure. Understand. Thank you for speaking tonight. I appreciate it. Anybody else that have any opposition? Yes, ma'am, up front. And then you in the back next.
My name is Lacey Green. I live at 3826 Dyches Road. That is going to be right next door to me. I believe everybody deserves a second chance. However, there needs to be parameters for the second chance, so to speak. A lot of people's brought it up, or they're going to be drug testing, alcohol testing. How long are you going to have before you have to start paying rent? You know, are you going to be coming in there with a job already? You know, things like that. I've already had to deal with people walking up and down the road, checking out the property, looking inside stuff, breaking in next door. I mean, just, you know, all kind of things, so to speak. I do have friends that are Aiken County. They will ride by. Just to kind of keep eye, because I have a child there who's by himself in the afternoons. Of course, he's 17, but still, he's a child. He doesn't have a clue what to do if something happens. So I just don't feel comfortable, and I don't think it'll be safe.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, in the back. Yes, ma'am. In the black shirt back there. Raising your hand. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Brittany, and this is my mom, Berenice. We live at 3716 Dykes Road. And
What's your last name, ma'am?
Dela Cruz.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
We are worried. We got stolen from, and we got tools stolen from my dad, and it was $1,000 worth money. And well, they always like the back of our house. There's a lot of trash, and it just looks like it doesn't really look good. There's like in the woods area, there's just a lot of trash, and it doesn't, and they always leave, like passing by, they always just throw, like there was an incident where my dad literally was right there and they just threw trash on our yard, unapologetically, and yeah. But yeah, we really are we're opposed to this, and thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming and speaking. Okay, anybody else against this application? Yes, ma'am. You take your time.
I don't have any fancy notes. It's just me. I'm
Would
Pat
you?
Loki.
Thank you.
My house is right opposite of across the dirt road from where you see that point in the thing. I've lived there over 40 years, close to 50. I have never felt uncomfortable in my home or unsafe in my home until the woods started filling up with homeless people. One night at dark, just right at dark, I pulled in my driveway, and there was a naked man standing in the middle of my driveway. Had my son not been there, I would have been petrified. It was a horrible experience. Right now, there is a handful of homeless in the woods. They present enough of a problem. I do not see how bringing in anywhere from 50 to 75 more people is going to make our neighborhood any safer. It's going to add to the problems. If you, in all sincerity, would not vote to put this place next to your mother's home or where your granddaughter lives, I don't see how you can vote to put it next to my home. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for coming to speak.
Hello, my name is Uta Adland. My husband and I own the property on 3814 Dykes Road. I want to just kind of touch on some of the things that some people have already said before. Do you really want to have a place like this that will attract other homeless people from areas that may be outside of Aiken County? Because word spreads quickly among people that, oh, come on over there, there's a homeless community, and come on down. Well, they may not even qualify to live there, but now, where are they going to go? They're going to hang out there. On that street, there are children living on that road. Some of them, various different ages. We've seen the school bus going. Do we really want to put this in that particular spot? There are plenty of other areas. And also, as my husband already mentioned, there are no sidewalks. And people are going to try to walk over to the Walmart, trying to cross that road. There's no safe passage over to that area. And the trash that's already there, on Loki Drive and on Dykes, the shopping carts, that's only going to increase. But I do believe that if you allow this community to be placed there, it's not going to be a pretty sight within a couple of years. And especially, you know, that's also an area where a lot of businesses are locating in that direction toward Augusta. How are they going to feel about this? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else here to speak against this application? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Paul Dennis, I live on Banks Mill Road. This is my stepmother right here. Earlier. What are y'all going to do about the property values? Do you want to buy your house, Mr. Herb? Decrease your property value? Do you want to buy, I bet you live in Gatewood. I mean, in Woodside, don't you? I know where the council chairman lives at, the homeless chairman, Burden Lake Road. I know it very well. Gated community. What I see is this devaluation of property that the city of Aiken, if they so decide to do this, y'all decide to do that, they need to buy all the property owners out at least 150% of the value. At today's value, because tomorrow's value is going to be less when you put them in there. I don't have, if you talk to Mike Hunt, ex-sheriff, or Marty Sawyer, they'll tell you about the problems they've had since Walking Tall Ministry down in the valley has been down there. They all have telephones, and they're all calling their buddies saying, come here, we got help. Which, you know, everybody needs help, I understand that. But it's also called enabling, and that's the issue. Sure. Enabling property values, and you know, I just hate to see it. I remember when I'm from Aiken. I don't know who else is up here is from Aiken. I see one right here from Aiken, and I remember when the city of Aiken would pick you up and carry you out of the city limits if you were hanging around the parks, right there in front of your place, Sam, Mr. Herb. They would take you out. They didn't put up with it. And now we seem to have to put up with it. And all I see is, and I've seen them making coffee at Rose's, plugging in a coffee pot because there's an outlet. I saw him on one of the investment man up here, seen him on his front porch because he has an outlet where they can plug it in. And do you really think only two people are going to be in one person's going to be in that house? Really? Do you really think only one's going to be in there? If I'm homeless, I'm going to call my buddy. Come on, I got me a shelter. So it's something you need to think about. That's all I have.
That makes sense. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Anybody else speak against this application? No, sir. You've already had an opportunity, but thank you. Any comments? Yes, ma'am. You comments? That's fine. Come on up here and you may speak on this. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Terry Lee. I live at 4 Bel Air Terrace here in Aiken. My husband and I have been here in Aiken for almost 30 years. We live on a beautiful street. The houses are manicured, the yards are manicured, and we're very proud to live in that neighborhood. But the statistics are that 1 in 5 people are living with a mental health challenge. 1 in 5, and I believe that statistic is even worse than that because many people go undiagnosed and do not report their symptoms. That 1 in 5 statistic pertains to the 1 in 5 of you. I'm just talking about the reality of what we are looking at in our community. The 1 in 5 also represents the individuals in this audience. If we counted the 1 in 5, I'm not being rude or abrasive. Again, I'm stating the statistics as a nurse with over 40 years of experience, but as a mother who lost her son to suicide 6 years ago. I have a vantage point on this and a heart of compassion on this subject that I want to speak into the hearts and minds and ears of the people who are listening tonight. 1 in 5 of the individuals on our streets, 1 in 5 of the individuals in our churches, 1 in 5 of the individuals in our neighborhoods where there's a Maybom real estate sign in the yard may have mental illness moving into our neighborhood. The chances are they will. It affects every family. And if we don't believe that, we are sticking our head in a hole. And we don't want to admit that. We must have eyes and ears of compassion for people. Aiken can do better. Aiken can be a light on a hill. Aiken can set the temperature across our state for being a compassionate and caring community that does not turn a blind eye. Mr. George, I'm forgetting your name. George, Mr. Clare is not saying move everybody and anybody into this neighborhood. He's saying this will be a vetted community. He's saying there will be requirements to be kept, things to be done to be able to stay in the community. Do we vet someone who's buying a house across the street from us? Do we require them to have a urine drug screen? What I hear in that is fear and stigma and lack of compassion. Aiken is better than that. We really are. And we can set that for the rest of the state to see that we're going to be compassionate to these people. The statistic also pertains to the children in our schools. If we're concerned about playing on the playground with other children, that statistic, 1 in 5, also is relevant to our children and youth. Children at the age of 7 and 8 are being diagnosed with mental health challenges. We don't want to hear that because it scares us. It is the reality. I'm asking you to look up the statistics that support what I'm saying and say it is time for us to come up with reasonable options for these individuals who are in pain. I would ask if it was a cardiovascular clinic or an orthopedic clinic that was going to be moved into that property, would we have this many people who are standing opposed? That is fear and stigma. It's fear and stigma. My son was a high school and college athlete on college scholarship. My son was on an academic scholarship. My son was well-rounded in every single way. He was diagnosed with a mental illness and was using alcohol to self-medicate his brain. And we did not understand enough at the time, even as a nurse, to be able to move in the right direction, to care for him and to get the resources he needed in order to be able to get better. And he died by suicide before we could learn enough to change the trajectory of his life. We have the opportunity set before us right now to change the trajectory of many people's lives that we can help and that I believe are asking for help.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have that opportunity.
Thank you, and sorry for your loss. Thank you so much. All right, any other comments? No, ma'am. If you've already spoken tonight, we're not going to get up and do a round robin again. I'm going to give the applicant an opportunity to come up to reply to any of the questions, comments that have been brought up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me address several issues in what I consider chronological order. The first one being the selection of the residents. Okay, there will be a very rigorous selection process for residents. Anyone who has a history of sex offenses will not be accepted. Okay, anybody with anything like a recent violent crime record will not be accepted. Non-residents who have not lived in Aiken County for more than 2 years will not be accepted. People with severe mental illness will not be accepted. Many people, as Ms. Lee just testified, have lesser mental illnesses, and we would expect many of our residents to have such mental illnesses, but they won't be significant, what is called SMI, significant mental illness, which would be a concern for violence. The second thing has to do with how we can be reasonably assured of the behavior of the residents. There will be rules of behavior, including both general behavior, not trashing property, not having altercations with their neighbors, be their neighbors inside the community fence or their neighbors outside on Dykes Road or Loki Road. That could result in them being put back out on the street. Again, from the standpoint of trash and fires in the wood, that probably wouldn't be a good thing, but that in fact is the way we will enforce the behavior rules for the community. Now, there will be on-site caseworkers during the day that will monitor the activities, and there will be a system of cameras that are monitored 24/7 by an agency that will be hired for the purpose, that will alert both the management of the community as well as law enforcement if something inappropriate happens. And that's how we will know whether or not somebody has invited a buddy or a friend into their home that shouldn't be there, not one of the residents. As far as trash is concerned, it's not the people who are residents of Arbor Ridge who will be throwing trash in the woods. It's the people who have not yet had the opportunity to live there, because they'll have their own means of disposal of trash in the trash cans in their houses and the dumpsters within the fenced area that will be emptied by the trash service on a routine basis. As far as homeless folk being a threat to children, I understand why people would be concerned about that, but the record is that, and again, this is numerous communities around the United States, that when homeless folks are allowed into some sort of residential area, tiny houses or otherwise, the crime rate in that area decreases. The fact that a homeless person is living in the woods, hasn't gotten decent sleep in who knows how many weeks, isn't eating properly, has lost his resources otherwise, is going to be more of a threat, much more of a threat to anyone they encounter than the folks who have a comfortable home, albeit not a large home, not a luxurious home, a very simple home, but that they call home, they're proud of it, they're happy to be there, they're not going to be attacking people. Are there any other questions that I haven't addressed?
I'm going to open it up to the commission to ask the applicant questions.
Yeah, Mr. Clare, can you address the easement concern that someone brought up earlier?
Yes. Unfortunately, our attorney our attorney is not here. But the current deed for the property as a whole is coming from what I'll call Aiken Center. They have a board that goes by a more complicated name, but it's the board for Aiken Center. And when they actually conveyed the property from their previous property to Mr. Smith, and he has a partner in that ownership who owns the property to the left of the chart we see here, up by the square, if I can call it that. And that was a quick claim deed, reserved a right for Aiken Center, and then it would come to us with the purchase of the property, the right to ingress and egress for the above properties.
Sir, he was respectful for you. Let's be respectful.
Yeah.
I understand your concern, but
There is a mention in that, that clause that mentions the square property. The extent to which that would also apply to the other property, I don't know. I'd have to ask our attorney, Kevin Pethick.
That's an issue for, if the property can't be used as a consequence of the easement, that is you can take that up with him. I mean, I don't understand how that has anything to do with whether or not this should be approved in terms of a zoning. That's an issue between you as a landowner and your potential new landowner who's acquiring the property. I mean,
And I mean, it's obvious that if that driveway isn't used, that the driveway could be placed elsewhere on the property that will be presumably solely owned by Aiken County Homeless Housing, and it won't. I mean, it might
as a
change.
lawyer myself, the law will give them an easement to the property. If they're landlocked, they're going to get a right to it.
no, sir. It's just he's commenting to the applicant. I understand what you're saying,
Of
but
access, sir, if he's not able to utilize that easement and he has a landlocked piece of property, under the law, he will be entitled to some access, whether it's across your property or another parcel. But again, that's issues for you and the lawyer for the group to work out.
And again, if that driveway is not used, some other portion of our road frontage, I mean, we'd have to go get a state permit, et cetera. But it has no bearing on the feasibility of the project.
Correct.
That's what I want. Thank you.
I've got a couple of questions. So I know that you probably have looked at other tiny home communities in other cities in your research. What does have you found any data that supports or talks about the idea that a tiny home community attracts more homeless people to the area that many people express concern?
Yeah, I can't say that I've found anything specific about, tiny house communities or transitional housing specifically. However, it is true pretty much around the nation that if you go to any community, that 90%, not 100%, but 90% of the homeless are local people. That it's almost never the case that more than 10% of the homeless population has come in from somewhere else.
I think the concern is more whether this will become a attractant.
I understand that. And that's why there's as things have been discussed anyway, there will be a requirement that you have to have been a resident of Aiken County for 2 years. Not necessarily a homeless resident.
I don't think that's the concern. The concern is that more homeless people will congregate to this area in the neighboring properties.
Yep.
Because of the presence of this community.
if they're not in, and what their concerns are, they're going to be hanging out in their yards waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
And that's what Commissioner Simmons is asking, I believe, is there any evidence that you found in your research that says one way or the other? Because they're right, people do talk, and if somebody's down on their luck and there's a potential haven, it could cause attraction.
Just like a soup
Understand the
kitchen,
question.
the line grows the more they give out. I think that's
I
the
understand that. In this particular case, the community will not be giving out any, food or anything else that should attract people. Would they be attracted? The area is already, as these folks have testified, it's a very attractive area for them to be living in the woods and whatnot. There is a rumor of it's more than a rumor. There's a report of an informal survey of the general vicinity today that roughly 100 homeless folks live in the area. And that's without regard to this being here, and I can't imagine that number would change very much, which is not to say there aren't people out there in the woods. There are people.
You had some more questions, Commissioner.
So Also, when you've researched these other tiny home communities, has ever there been a discussion on their impact? These other communities you've researched, what's their impact on the neighbors' housing, values, and what it does to the homes that are the residents who've been living there?
No, I have no data to offer on that.
And then the last question I have is, how do you verify residency?
Well, we would have to do our best to the extent that folks have IDs. There are records kept of their availing a variety of services, mental health services, time they spend at the Salvation Army, et cetera, we'll be able to have a pretty good handle on
So
that.
if someone has no ID, no records, they would be excluded from being able to stay in there because you couldn't verify that they're local.
I think that's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Other questions for the applicant? Comments or?
I have a comment about the property value concerns that were expressed. It sounds to me that the present situation with homeless men, naked men, fires being started in the woods, trash, suggests that this would be an improvement over the existing woods. I mean, that's all I heard from those comments, is that you currently have a major problem with no solution, and this is an attempt to offer a solution in an area where there's already homeless people congregating. And I would only think, if I were a property owner in that area, that this would be perceived as an improvement over the existing circumstances. And I don't know how bad it is, but I certainly have heard of homeless encampments in these areas, and that's not good for property values.
No.
Okay, any other comments or questions for the applicant, or for the application? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so we have two applications in front of us right now. The first is the application number 25-60007. This is the rezone application. So I'll entertain. Point of clarification, Mario. These two need two motions, correct? Okay. So the first one will be for the rezone from office to the transitional tiny home.
You want them one at a time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before I go, let me just say, I heard everyone tonight, and I also heard the concerns. But I'm of a different mindset. And my mindset is, as someone already spoken, that the current condition, if we don't do anything, what it would look like from what I heard, the trash and the crime and everything 5 years from now. I'm just making a comment right now.
The comment session's over. This is
The other part of that I look at is this. I see it as an opportunity for the city of Aiken to reach out to folks that are at a disadvantage, to help them or to assist them in becoming productive citizens. The fear is because we're looking at folks that are different from us, maybe not the same wages, live in different neighborhoods, different conditions. But when we give people an opportunity to become productive citizens, I think that decreases crime. I live in a neighborhood that is pretty good, but at the same time, I've seen crime in my neighborhood. I've seen neighbors next door commit suicide. But not only that I've saw where there was abuse in homes, drug and everything else. I cannot change anybody's mind as far as what you say and what you think, but my heart goes out to these people, and it goes out because I feel we're giving them an opportunity to have a change in their lives. And every homeless person is not homeless because they made a bad decision. It's because circumstances in some folks' situations have put them that way. The other part of that is their families with children would have an opportunity to bring their children in and have a place to live. And that's the way I look at it. So with that in mind, Mr. Chairman, based on application number 25-60007, the rezone application, the tax partial 08718-08-012, and a portion of 87-18-08-001. I move that we send this to City Council for approval.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Matthews. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Connors. Okay, any further discussion?
Well, if I may, just,
Please.
we are recommending body to the city council. We're bound by, proper zones, proper laws. We're volunteers up here trying to make the right decision. And it's hard to make these decisions, but we're not the final decision maker. We are bound by what we can, the laws that are, instruct us. My suggestion would be to take this further to city council for first reading and second. So, but
I have a comment if you're finished.
I'm finished.
I mean, the reality is this is a forward-thinking concept, okay? And the reality is there's going to be a lot of fear wherever this is placed. It's going to abut somebody's property, and people are going to feel the same way y'all do about it wherever it goes. Yeah. The reality is these folks have done their research. It's within a certain distance of services that are available to folks that generally require those services. It's within a certain number of employers that can employ these folks. It's within a host of different things. Yes, we love there to be sidewalks. Yes, we love there to be all sorts of resources available to them, but they're despite the fact that a few locations were identified by one of the people who got up and spoke, everyone is going to feel the same way y'all do with a knee-jerk reaction when you hear about a community like this. But the reality is this is supposed to be a positive thing for a major problem that Aiken is experiencing right now. We have homelessness and no option for them, and that homelessness has grown tremendously, and it's negatively impacted the community, and there's no way to help these folks right now. So I understand y'all's concerns. I promise that we've done our homework in trying to identify an ordinance that will accommodate these folks, one that accounts for the things that y'all have described in terms of how are these people vetted, who's going to be operating this thing. All of that's included in the ordinance itself, and we've tried to structure it in a way such that the people that reside joining and around are protected in some ways to ensure that the folks that are moving into these people are citizens that, with appropriate shelter, can turn their lives around. And right now, there's nowhere that offers that in this community. And you see the result of that. You see every bench on Park Avenue filled with someone. You see lines at every soup kitchen. You see that. And the hope is to try to mitigate some of that by offering these folks a service. And I understand that y'all don't love where it is. And I assure you that wherever we have an application, there's going to be a similar response. But I think that this is going to result in something more positive than the present situation that you're currently dealing with.
Thank you, Commissioner Connor. Do I have a second? Did I do a second? Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. So there's a motion made to approve for the rezoning to tiny homes and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Like sign opposed. 2 oppositions. All right. So the motion passes. The next application, number 25-21001. This is a concept plan for the community. So we'll need a motion. I'll need to entertain a motion on that as well. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Commissioner, on application 2521001, concept plan for tax parcel 08718080012 and a portion of 087-18-08-001. I recommend we approve the concept plan with the possible conditions listed to City Council for approval.
All right.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Commissioner Matthews, thank you for the second. All right, any discussion on the concept plan? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, like sign opposed. And 2 noes, but the motion passes. And this concludes the reading of this application. You are free to leave if you don't want to stick around for the rest of the show. But please do so quietly because we still have business to conduct. Thank you for your comments tonight. For the cloud to disperse. Okay, item K, this is application number 25-23003, a concept plan request for quality tax parcel number 123-11-01-004. This is the applicant Quality Automotive Services, location over Whiskey Road, the Junction Shopping Center where the new Lowe's is. This is current zoning as planned commercial. This was annexed in back in 2022 with the new grocery store construction. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Commissioners. My name is Paul Lawler. I'm with Bowman Consulting Group, civil engineer working on this project. Address is 10130 Perimeter Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina. We are working with Valvoline, the developer on this property. They are leasing this property from the overall shopping center. They're looking to develop about a 1,800 square foot oil change facility, so it would have 3 service bays, drive-through bays, quick service oil change, and then all the supporting infrastructure for the overall project. Happy to answer any questions about the concept plan, proposed building elements, and anything that you all may have. We have reviewed the staff report. Appreciate staff's just correspondence through this process and help throughout the process. We are just looking at the proposed conditions. The first one is the development complying with the tree preservation and landscaping requirements of the zoning ordinance. We're good with that, and we plan to work with staff through that process. My understanding is that there is a tree survey completed by the overall the Junction Shopping Center overall development. So we'll be working with that tree survey and the mitigation for the overall development to make sure that this portion of the overall development complies with that original plan development. Second one is about signage. I know the proposed condition states that we'll work with planning staff and ultimately we'll need to get planning director approval for the signage out here. We have been talking about the proposed signage. We did submit an 18-foot high monument type sign. Talking with the overall development team, it sounds like there are some restrictions within the declarations of the overall shopping center that restrict just the overall height and placement of that. So we will be re-looking at the signage plan and happy to work with staff through that process as well. And the other 2 conditions we're good with. So
Okay.
happy to answer the questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission to the applicant?
Out of just curiosity, is this a franchise or a corporate-owned store?
This is a franchise.
How many locations does the applicant own? Do you know?
How many here in Aiken?
No. I mean, like overall, how many?
So they are a large, multiple regions throughout the U.S. I think their total count is like 180 plus. So I believe they are the second largest Valvoline franchisee.
Oh, very good, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, sir. Appreciate it. All right, anybody here to speak against or for this application? Any other comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the concept plan.
Discussion. I'd like to make a motion regarding application 25-23-003 concept plan request by Quality Automotive Services that we would recommend for approval. Our recommendation to the City Council.
Okay, motion for approval. Second by Commissioner Clarkson. Thank you. All right, discussion.
Mr. Chairman, as we discussed in the work session, I think one of the biggest questions we have on this site is the sign. The proposed, in my opinion, the proposed 18-foot high by 6 foot 10-inch monument sign is quite excessive for this location. Next to, we have a nice Lowe's shopping center. We have a residential subdivision next door. I think I'd like to make a request that we have the sign revised to a maximum of 11-foot height with a sign face of 50 square feet.
You want a monument sign, so this will be a revision of possible condition number 2.
Right.
Are you amenable to that?
Yes.
Your motion. So your motion is for approval. The only change of the conditions is you're amending condition number 2 to restrict the sign as a monument sign with a maximum height of 11 feet tall and a maximum square footage of 50 square feet. Does that sound accurate to you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So I'll have you amend the motion to, since we revised the second condition, if you'll revise your motion, please.
Again, I'd like to revise the aforesaid motion to include a condition for modifying condition number 2 to include a maximum sign height of 11 feet and size of 50 square feet.
Okay.
Second.
Second for Commissioner Erb. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Last but not least, application number 25-91003 is a concept plan revision out at the Village at Woodside by Silver Bluff Development. It's currently under plan residential. And Kent, if you want to give us a little rundown.
Hello, everyone. My name's Kent Baldwin. I live in Colleton Avenue here in Aiken. I'm here representing Silver Bluff Development. As most all of you know, we've been developing the Woodside and in particular the Village at Woodside for quite some time now. And our concept plans have evolved and changed over the years. What we're requesting here is really a clarification on some building location and footprint of a proposed building that we'd like to build in the village. The area that we're focused on is what we call the shops area. So this is the central core of the village, where it's a mix of some restaurants, retail shops, and some office buildings. So it's the center component of the village that has the two big parks that flank it. The current concept plan was originally, with this shops area, refined in 2014, and up until 2023, the location where we're proposing this footprint change had always shown multiple buildings. At one point, there was 3 footprints shown on the concept plan, then there was 2. And in 2023, when we were going through the grocery store concept plan revision and an overall clarification of the village with square footages and some scorekeeping on changes that have occurred over the years, we showed one larger footprint here instead of multiple footprints. But we also tried to clarify what our remaining square footages were available within the concept plan that had been approved. In this area, we had identified roughly 12,000 feet left of office and or retail or space for the shops area. As sales and our marketing efforts have evolved, we're wrapping up a building on the corner of Gatepost and Society Hill Drive. Right now it's an office building. Ended up being a little bit smaller than the footprint we showed. And so we'd like to go back to the 2 footprints in this location as opposed to the 1 from the change in 2023. We're still well within the footages that have been approved for quite some time. And when you look at that diagram there, the building A is nearly done. We'll wrap that up over the next few weeks. This building B is a 1,950-foot building, so it's a small office building that we've got some interest in. The infrastructure's in place. When we built the parking lot, the roads, the sewer, water, taps, and water services were all put in, contemplating multiple building footprints. So in applying for this building permit, the inconsistency with the last concept plan was noted, and so we're trying to clean that up and, ask for your approval on that. So.
Okay, thank you, Kent. Any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the concept plan revision.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to application number 25-91003, concept plan revision for tax parcel 107-13-22-004, I make a motion that we move to City Council for approval.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Clayton. Second by Commissioner Matthews. Discussion. All those in favor, raise your hand. And it passes unanimously. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All those in favor? We are adjourned.